Hi guys, this week I'm going to talk about how to get the most out of a forum. There's a lot of writing forums, so I'll stick to maybe Reddit, Stage 32 and Quora. Okay, so this is going to be, the first part's going to be about asking questions. If you're going to a writing forum, don't go there for life advice, okay? Make sure you know yourself first. If you're, I've always wanted to be a writer, but I don't really know. I've got a lot of other everyone there who loves writing, who has dedicated their life to writing, isn't, if you're going there for that a boy, you can do it advice, you go, girl, get friends. There's too many posts like that. You will get people that are basically talking to themselves and they're saying, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. And they're going to say that to you. But go to writing forums for writing advice. Go talk to friends if you want life advice. Don't substitute a writing forum for friends. Because in these forums, you will build a reputation, whether you know it or not. And a reputation is like a brand. You don't get to say what it is. It gets given to you, whether you want it or not. So if you become the person that's always unsure, always asking life advice questions, that's what people will see you as. And if you want to add value to the community, you don't want to be seen as that person. It'll also eke into your writing. But there's a lot of people that, and you may be the same, go to forums and lurk for a little while. They just read the posts, they read what other people are saying, they're not confident enough to ask a question or confident enough to give an answer. And they'll see you, and this will be the brand they give you, that you don't really know writing, you don't even know if you want to be a writer. So when you've got something good to say and you want to contribute, you have no credibility. Don't ask anything that can be Googled. This is way on Quora, or however you say it, the Quora thing. I always see questions there. What was the budget for this film? Where was this film made? Where was this? Just Google stuff. Once you've exhausted Google, go and ask a community, okay? Google is your friend. It will also give you some bad advice, but at least you've tried and you're sort of informed a little bit. And if you get the answer you want, IMDb. If you want to know the budget of a film, go to imdb.com. Don't ask questions that can be Googled, because people aren't going to go search for you. Like, what's the budget for this film? I'm not going to go, oh wait, I'll Google it. $73 million. You could have done it yourself. I'm not your personal assistant. Google things. Don't overpost. This is a sort of a pet hate when you go, Craig asked this question, Craig asked that question, or don't ask the same question, slightly varied. Don't do 4 versions of a question. Like, if I write a lot of comedy and a horror, would it work? Well, the answer to all those sorts of questions is if you do it well. So don't ask a question like, if I write a horror with a lot of comedy, would it work? And the next question is, do smart, funny horrors work? Is horror comedy a successful genre? It's the same question 3 or 4 different ways. Ask one question, let other people have an opportunity to ask questions. Don't flood the forum with you. You are not the only person there. Allow other people to ask questions. Sorry, I was just reading my notes. Now, when we're talking about giving advice to people, okay, do not strawman. For people who don't know what that is, someone will make a statement. What always happens is someone will ask a question. Can a feature film be 75 pages long? And, well, the answer is yes. Of course it can. It'll be a shorter film, or it might be a really long film with very, very short descriptions of big events. I think Dunkirk was like 68 pages. And people will say, oh, that's because Christopher Nolan was going to film it himself. but you can write, rows of men line up on a beach for as far as the eye can see. One sentence, but that shot might take a minute or two, the way he plans it out. But in your mind, you can see it. The plane gliding back and forth when it run out of fuel. The plane glides back and forth, engaging in combat with other planes. That is just a quick one line, whatever. He knows what it's going to look like. That might have gone for 5 or 6 minutes. So it is possible for a feature to be a small number of pages. What happens is that discussions will start amongst people in the answers of forums. So if you're going to engage with someone because you think their answer isn't quite correct, or you'd like them to expand on it, or you think you can expand on it, like I said, don't straw man. And what straw manning is when I summarize what you're saying, when I summarize what you're saying, and then I make fun of my own summary of what you've said. I haven't actually spoke about what you've said. So you might say, of course it's possible Dunkirk was only 68 pages. And then the straw manning starts. So what you're saying is that this person is the same sort of writer, or they're a writer-director. Well, that's stupid. They never said they were a writer-director. Well, you just made a statement on my behalf based on what I said, and now you're making fun of the statement you made, not about what I said. So don't do that. If you're going to provide advice, if you can, give citations. If you say, I read an article, go find it. And don't do a Hollywood film once did this, go find it and say, Batman Begins cost this much. Or Chris Nolan was flying back and forth with David S. Goyer in pre-production and in negotiation for Batman Begins when they started writing The Dark Knight. So Chris Nolan and David S. Goyer wrote really closely together, and it's in a YouTube video. Here's the link. Those sorts of things. Add citations in. I quite often say, if you see my stuff in forums, people will talk about comedy or TV. I don't know a lot about it. But I said, my brother, Rob McHugh, he had his own show on SBS, which is it's a network in Australia. And I'll add a link if I can. Today I've mentioned him. So in the below, I'll put a link to, I don't know, I think I've got a link for an article in a newspaper about his show, and it's got a small video in it. So I'll try to add citations. Just don't do the, amorphous, over here they do this, everyone knows it. Back up what you're saying. The one thing that smells a bit like bullshit a lot of the time is when people say, well, I know an Emmy award-winning director, or my friend has a friend who's a director of so-and-so. That doesn't give you credibility. That makes sure that everyone who's reading what you're saying rolls their eyes. So unless you know that person and can say, this person is so-and-so, like I'll quite happily say, Billy Jude, Calvin DeGray. These are all guys I grew up with that are great comedians. Both of those guys have passed away now, unfortunately. I met them through my brother, fantastic brothers to me. I don't mind naming them, because they're real people and I really knew them, and I don't think they would have any problem with me saying who they are. So give citations. I have a friend thing doesn't really work. And be a good citizen. And if a forum isn't for you, leave. Okay, don't pollute the forum. Don't impose what you believe to be true. Give advice. If someone gives advice contradicting you, don't attack them. That's the other thing that happens a lot. As you know, I say, you read screenplays, you learn. Note givers are just note givers. They're not you. They can guide you. They can educate you in your early days, but you don't have to listen to them. There is no structure in a screenplay. The story is the structure. Tell the story the way the story needs to be told. Don't go, I've got to have a double somersault backflip on page 54 because then I'll land on the hero's cat in page 72 and then that spins it. No, or don't, because you see those questions. I don't know how to add a lemon meringue pie on page 21. Your screenplay doesn't need it if you can't figure out how to put it in. as you become a better writer, you'll figure out where you've got to put whatever confectionery you need to put in to satisfy whatever template beat sheet you're using. But if you're one of those people that strongly believe in this and someone doesn't, do not attack them. You just become an ass on those forums. You ruin it for everyone else and you're not getting value. If the only value you can get out of a forum is to go and yell at people, I don't know, buy a soapbox and go to a park and yell at people about political things, just go away. Writing forums are there to help each other, and if you do them right, you give answers to the best of your knowledge. You don't overburden with your own stuff. You give citations so other people can check and reinterpret what you're saying if they have to. Don't strawman people when you're trying to make a point. Don't, summarize theirs and make fun of their stuff. Google questions before you ask them. Make sure that you're asking an authoritative question. Don't write those super long questions. Nobody wants to read them. That little black question at the front and you've got a bit of detail underneath, that's your question. Everything else under that is self-indulgence. Don't be self-indulgent. Write good, sharp questions. People don't want to know your life story. Well, when I grew up in Punchbowl, and back then people were saying this, and then right at the bottom it's got, so should this be a book or a screenplay? Nice, short, concise questions will get good, well thought answers. That's it. It's been a bit of a rant, bit of a rave. I've got a bit of a cold. It's making me run out of oxygen, so I'm yawning a bit. I hope this helps. Like, subscribe, all that sort of stuff, if you'd be so kind, because that really helps the YouTube algorithm. All that sort of stuff. And until next time, guys, keep writing.